If you nail your branding, you can literally charge double and your customers would happily pay for it. Branding isn't just about your logo, colors, and fonts. It's about creating perception and trust to be able to command premium price points and be the go-to option in your market. To further illustrate how imperative it is you have a strong brand and how powerful it can be when you do, I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I first started my corporate career, I worked at a multi-billion-dollar telecommunications company. I was on their internet and home phone portfolio, and there was a lot of marketing challenges we were facing. The first one being that technically internet and home phone are both services that are invisible. Customers just expect to connect to Wi-Fi, and customers expect to pick up the phone and call someone. There's a lot of tech and infrastructure and support that goes behind the scenes, but people don't see that. They just want to be able to connect to Wi-Fi or pick up their phone and call someone. So that was the first challenge. The second challenge was that in Canada, telecommunications is a regulated industry. It's in fact a duopoly, meaning that there's only two players in the market. As a result of that, the product being a little bit commoditized, because how can you really differentiate internet and home phone? You can add more features, have faster upload speeds, have faster download speeds, but it's hard to differentiate, especially it being a duopoly and both products are kind of the same in an average customer's eyes. The only differentiating point is unfortunately price. In a duopolistic environment, the worst thing you can do is have undifferentiated products, because then it's just a price war and it's a race to the bottom. Unfortunately, the reality of it is people will still go back and forth, price compare, do all the things. But the company I was working for, we tried to create a premium brand that would command higher price points and customers would want to pay more for as a result of that. We would really ensure all of our customers got a white glove experience. We would make sure that they understood that the tech was actually better, because we did have faster upload speeds, we did have faster download speeds. Our infrastructure was on fiber, not copper. We try to do all these things. That taught me a lesson that when you do have a brand that is trusted, credible, people know it's reliable, and it's also premium, it's a good experience, then you can command higher price points, even in markets where it seems like the product is really commoditized, and maybe even in a market where you literally only have one other competitor and they're trying to have the lowest price possible. This is why branding is so important. For the same handbag, some women will pay Hermes and Chanel price points where it's literally the price of a used car, and it's because they've gotten their branding so well done. With all that being said, how do we build a strong brand for you and your business? The very first step is I want you to have a new definition and understanding of branding. It is not just logos, colors, and fonts. A brand is all about perception and associations. In the world today, there's a few household brands that everyone knows about, and once I say it, you're likely going to have some associations or things that come to mind. When I say Nike, what comes to mind? You might think of Just Do It, you might think of elite athleticism, you might think of high quality products, whatever it is, right? Nike has been around for so long and they've built up a strong brand. When I say the brand IKEA, what comes to mind? You might think of DIY, good price points, decent product, Swedish meatballs. Whenever you think of a brand, there's going to be associations that come up. When I say Nike, maybe you think of the Nike swoosh logo. IKEA, you maybe think of the blue and the yellow brand colors. But all of that is just to help ladder up to the associations that Nike and IKEA want you to have. Your job as the founder and as the business owner is to figure out what you want your brand to stand for and what you want your brand to be associated with. Is a better visualization exercise to think of your brand as a person. I know that maybe sounds weird, but stick with me. Think of them as a person and think about what values they would have, what personality they would have, how would they dress, how would they talk, how would they interact in the world. From there, hopefully you can infer your brand personality, your tone of voice, your brand values, like all this stuff. And click the link down below to access the Notion workbook, because I'm going to have a lot of different branding exercises and resources you can leverage to figure out your brand values, your brand why, your brand tone of voice, like all this stuff. But again, it does help to have that visualization of your brand as a person, and you can start to create what they would look like, how they would act, and what they would do. Another thing I find helpful when doing a branding exercise is to think about what you want to be associated with, but equally what you don't want to be associated with. I recently worked with a founder who is starting a mental health app, and with his ideal customers, trust and creating a safe space is so important to the community as a subsequent result of that to his brand. It was really easy for him to be like, okay, we want to be associated with being able to actively listen. We want to create safe spaces. Those are all things we want to be associated with. But on the flip side, it was very helpful for him to figure out what they don't want to be associated with. They don't want to be associated with being too clinical. They don't want to be associated with being cash grabby. This is a really helpful exercise, and you can leverage the Notion workbook down below to help you go through this. Again, your brand is not just the logo, the colors, and the fonts. Think of it like you're creating a person. What do they live and breathe? What are their values? How do they speak? How do they talk? From there, you can then infer these are the colors that can invoke these associations, or this is the logo that's going to be able to get us to what we want to do. Do the exercises, and once you've done that, I'll see you in the next video.